Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us. I'm here with another lovely indie author, um, and we're going to be talking about his books. So, what's your current series? What's the series you have published right now?
Yeah, so right now, I kind of just am doing one-offs, but this book series that I'm writing right now will probably be a series, but what I have published right now is The Secrets of Maggie Valley Ranch, and Wandering Minds Publishing has picked that one up, and I have a book coming out with them as well called The Eternal Existence of Atticus Bright that will also be out later this year. Mhm.
Nice. There are 20 questions. You want to get into them?
Mhm. Yeah, let's do it.
Awesome. Okay. Question one is, what's your WIP about? If it's a sequel, you can talk about the overall story, including previous books.
So, like, that's like the project I'm working on right now, right?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Just want to make sure we're on the same wavelength there. So, my project now is called The Sitch, and it's like the first book and what I want to at least have two books in. It's about it's LGBT friendly. It's about a thief who is married to a PI, but the PI has no idea that the master thief, master of disguise that he's been hunting for, is actually his husband and father of his two children.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
yeah, so the book revolves around like there's a lot of animals, like he goes by the magpie, and there's like a heist that he has to pull off because one of their daughters gets sick. And so it's a heist going into like, also just marriage, I guess, in a way, but yeah. Hmm.
Nice. Sounds interesting.
Thank you.
Question two, what is your MC like?
His name is Levi. He's very like flamboyant, very like my biggest thing that me and my husband both joke about is that his alias is the magpie, and that's a thing in the world is it's like he's the magpie and his accomplice is the canary. There's like the cat, but the thing is he wanted to be the crow, but the public started calling him the magpie instead, and so like that's always kind of like he wears like a flashy blue suit, very whatever. But so he's very flashy. He's very like has some comic relief, a lot of that kind of thing. Whereas like he kind of allegory for he wants to be someone that he's not. Because I feel like he has a lot of the I'm a bad person, but he's really not trait in him as well.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
nice.
Thank you.
Question three, what are your other important characters like?
So there is Orion, who is his husband, who is the PI. He's more gruff, very serious, down to business. And then you have the Canary, who is, I should have mentioned Levi used to be a prima donna ballerina, like the male version. And so his accomplice was also a ballerina. So they have a very long standing relationship. She's very graceful, likes nice things. And those are the two like really big main character like big I guess supporting characters. And then you have like the cat who is older, white, like older, kind of a little bit more tricky, and he of course has a British secretary who is just there to watch like rom-coms and get the job done whenever whenever he needs, which he needs her, so yeah. Mhm.
Question four, if your MC has a love interest, what is their dynamic like?
So it's very interesting. It's so I have just gotten married. My cat might jump on my lap. I'm so sorry. I live in a van, so that's why I'm in a van. Yeah, this is my cat. If you'd like. Oh goodness. Okay. So sorry. So he him and Orion have an interesting relationship. I personally have been married for about a year now, and like I don't see a lot of especially queer books where you have two men that are married and like have the marriage experience. A lot of the queer like books featuring men have always been like, okay, like you get the cute little love thing, okay, cool, happy ending, but like so my book takes place past that, so it's like they've been married for a while, but their dynamic is almost one-sided in Orion is almost a one-sided character because Levi is hiding such a big part of his life from him that while they love each other very much, neither of them really know each other that well. So that's kind of the biggest dynamic in it. And also they're just comfortable. But yeah.
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, we don't see that very often with queer characters in general, not just
Mhm.
like men and men, but like
Mhm.
woman and woman. See their marriage life. I know. Um, I think that would be a very interesting thing to really get to see and be able to experience because it's very important because uh,
Mhm.
I just feel like queer representation in general is very important, and sometimes we don't always see it enough, which is why, especially in fantasy, which is what I write, and I always write,
Mhm.
write queer fantasy, so there's lots of queer representation because we don't get enough of that.
Yeah, no, exactly. And it's like you always get a lot of the queer characters that are queer people, we have been traumatized, but sometimes I would like to read about characters that are already happy and in love and they got through the trauma part and now they're just to the part where like, okay, we love each other. Now how do we be married? So I really wanted to I had a lot of my own personal experience with that, so it's like I wanted to incorporate that for other people as well.
Yeah,
Mhm.
definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree. I know in one of my series, one of the main romantic relationships is the MC's brother and his boyfriend, and they've been
Mhm.
together for a long time. And in book one, they get engaged, and at the end of book two, they even get married. So they're pretty
Yeah.
much happy throughout the entire thing. And yeah, there's a lot of drama and trauma things
Mhm.
going on, but it's not happening in their relationship, it's around them.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like I love that. No, that's wonderful.
Yeah, it's something we need to see more. So I think it's very important to write it, and I'm glad that you think it's important to write it too, so we can get more of it.
No, exactly, because I am from a small town in Tennessee. Like I did grow up with a lot of the stuff and the trauma, but it's like now that I'm a full-grown adult and I've been to therapy, I've been past the trauma. It's like, okay, what now? Like where does life go for queer people once you get past that point? So no, yeah, I'm glad to be able to put more of stuff like that out into the world, and you as well.
Yeah, yeah, I definitely agree. Like
Mhm.
it's very important, and as a queer person myself, I think, and
Mhm.
that's probably part of the reason why I find it so important, and I make a habit of writing plenty of queer representation. And yeah, there's
Mhm.
going to be trauma, but a lot of times it's not in the queer relationships. Even if a character themselves is traumatic, like my current MC, the trauma isn't really in the relationship, it's
Mhm.
surrounding it. And I feel like that's just so important.
Yes, exactly, exactly.
Question 5. Yeah. Who, despite the love interest, is closest to your MC? What is their dynamic like?
So that would be the canary. And so the canary and my main character, the canary she's like the best friend that's been there since like they did ballet together. Like they very much trust each other. She's very she knows about like Levi and Orion. She knows Orion's a PI, and actually how she's introduced in my book is they have because the criminals in my books all wear animal masks and she gets unmasked by Orion, and kind of the joke in the book whenever we first meet her, because that's like the first thing how you kind of know, not a spoiler, but is her being like, wow, I really wanted to meet your husband, this is going to make things awkward now. So they're really good friends, but they're also very aware of their situation and where, what place they have put themselves in the world as well. Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Question 6. What's your world like? Is it similar to our world? Is it different? How so?
It's very similar to our world in the fact that I don't really know. It's just kind of it can take place anywhere, big urban. It's just very big, very urban. It's more of on the urban, question mark side of setting, if that makes sense, because it's not like my book, The Eternal Existence of Atticus Bright. It's time travel. It takes place in New York City, or my other book, The Secrets of Maggie Valley Ranch, takes place in Arizona. this one kind of just takes place in a big city in America, period.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, it's very weird, but yeah.
Question 7. If you write fantasy, what's your magic system?
I am so not good at writing fantasy, and I wish I was, but I'm more like of anything, I'm more of like a horror writer. Whenever it comes to, like, the folky and the horror, so like there is no magic in this book, and the only book that I have that has magic in it is The Secrets of Maggie Valley Ranch, and it's just folk horror magic. So there is no magic system. There is just a cow that is like been taken apart and is now killing people in part of it. So yeah, that's that book. It's I've definitely I can focus a little bit more on what am I saying? There is fantasy in Atticus as well, but what I'm saying is I'm not a fantasy writer. Like I don't really know how to do that as well as people like, you would.
That's understandable. We all have our different genres that we can do. Um, like I love horror, but I'm not sure if I could write horror. Like fantasy's just it clicks with me. Like horror
Yeah.
probably clicks with you.
Yeah, exactly.
And I do love a good horror, so
Oh, good. I love a good fantasy too, so we can switch off.
yeah, let's do it. Question 8. Yeah, question 8. Do you like to write major plot twists?
Yes. Yes, 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 yes. I love it. I just love it. I love because like as someone that is a writer and a storyteller, I hate reading and writing something and being like, "Okay, I know where this is going," and then it goes exactly where it's supposed to go. I really like to take my story and be like, "Okay, we're going in this direction. Now let's pull it from the path kicking and screaming. Okay, we're here now. Like we're here. Let's deal with it." So, I'm very big into that.
I love a good major plot twist, whether I'm reading it or writing it.
Yeah.
Question 9. What tropes are in your WIP?
um like I guess like lovers to enemies to lovers again would be in that one. Um that's gonna be like a very big plot point in mine. And I think that that's that's like the major trope in it because it's not surprisingly as tropey as a lot of my other stuff is, but it's mainly, yeah, so I'd say lovers to enemies back to lovers again. Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Sounds interesting. I don't think I've ever read that trope. I mean, I've heard of it where it's like people who were in love became enemies and sometimes they would get back to that, but I've never actually read it myself.
It's been interesting to write because like I was gonna go kind of a different path with it, but then I was thinking, but I've not read a lot of it. I know that it's gonna be pretty soul crushing, and I know what I have read has been soul crushing. But I think it's something that I've learned in life is like, okay, you have the conflict, you have the problem, like that makes you enemies. Now, how do we piece back together? My stepmother told me once about my father. So this is a fun little, I guess, Arthur fact. Is my stepmom told me once that love and hate are the exact same emotion. And I really play on that a lot in The Sitch.
I've never heard of that. I know my mom says a lot that there's I don't remember exactly how she puts it, but it's like there's a fine line between love and hate. Yeah, I think that's how she puts it. There's a fine line between love and hate. Like it can just switch quickly depending on what happens.
That's really interesting. Yeah, see, my stepmom was like, love and hate are the same in emotion. It's indifference that you've got to worry about. And I was like, that's beautiful.
Our mothers are wise.
Yes, very.
Question 10. What themes are in your WIP?
Lots of, so sorry, I have cats that are fighting with each other. They're not fighting, they're play fighting, they're kittens. A lot of the, I would say, like, can you repeat the question one more time?
Yeah, sure. What themes are in your WIP?
Themes. Okay, perfect. Sorry, distracted.
You're fine.
So what themes? I would say there's a lot of there's gonna have to be a big redemption arc, and so a lot of the themes is like the biggest theme I think is learning how to be happy with what one has and learning how to settle down, basically, is a pretty big theme, which you don't see a lot of, but there is going to be a lot of the action and the adventure, but a lot of the themes in it are also everything is on the floor. How do I build this back up? And also just a general, what is my place in the world, really, especially because my characters are a little bit older. They're like, I think, oh, I say older, they're like in their 30s. And so it's like they've done the 20s, they've done the little, like, the flashy heist and the this and the that. And it's like, okay, now we're adults. How do
Yeah.
we move forward as adults? So I think that's like a lot of the main themes and stuff in it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. I've never written characters like my main characters be like in their 30s. I never even have them be in their upper 20s. I think it's because I can't relate to being in my 30s. Like I'm still in my early 20s, so it's like I don't think I would know how to write a character in their 30s.
I felt so similarly because like I turned 23 like last week, but like I've listened to a lot of characters that like I've always found like they were so like the Penumbra podcast. I write audio dramas and that kind of thing, and like in that sphere is the Penumbra podcast, and they have like a very like I've drawn a lot of inspiration from them, and their characters are older, and like listening to that over the past year and a half has been like, oh my god, there's like this new dynamic of like they're not fresh faced anymore, they're now this. So that's kind of what I've drawn a lot of inspiration from.
Nice. Well,
Yeah.
happy belated birthday.
Oh, thank you.
I turned 23 last December, so.
Oh, happy late birthday to you too.
So yeah, I'll be 24 this December.
Nice.
That was question 10. So question 11 is, what was your inspiration for your WIP?
I think I basically just said it. The Penumbra podcast was a really big inspiration for it. I also got into this weird like I don't know, like a haze came over me, and I read every single trashy like romance novel and detective novel I could find at one point last year, because I was just going through them, like the little ones that like your grandma might read, like, and they are like very interesting if they were written in a style that wasn't made for elderly women. And so a lot of it was I was like, okay, I want to take this and I want to make it cool. Like James Patterson, Nora Roberts, except they're queer and they're written for people in their 20s and they're like different, because like it was a hard reality whenever I was like reading some of those books, and I was like, because I was like, why does every grandmother read these? And it's like, oh, because they're entertaining if they were written better. Like so like yeah, that's kind of like me being like, I'll just write a James Patterson but make it better.
Nice.
Thank you.
Question 12. Are you a plotter, pantser, or somewhere in between? If your WIP is a part of a series, how much do you have mapped out for it?
Oh man, I'm like still trying to figure that question out myself, to be honest. My last two books, I kind of just hadn't like had a general idea, had a couple of scenes that I thought about and just went for it. And I realized, like, through my editor and through a bunch of other stuff, that I was like, I don't really like a lot of my comments were like, hey, your pacing is weird here. So I've started doing like outlines of like writing the beats down, and I've started plotting it, and honestly I think I'm a plotter now, because that
Wow.
like I used to be so stressed and then like plotting the book is makes it so much easier. I was like, oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yeah, I
And
get that. I get that.
uh, no, yeah. The second part to your question, I have like none of the sequel planned out, but I do know it will be a sequel, but I'm not there yet.
Nice. Yeah, I can get that. Like, I get why some people are plotters, some people are pantser. Personally, I'm in between because I do plot some stuff, but at the same
Mhm.
time, I leave plenty out to just the imagination for whenever I get there, and it surprises me. So I'm like in between because it's like I do plot, but I also pants.
No, I totally get that.
Question 13. Who's your favorite character to write in your WIP? If it's your MC, then who is the second?
um, so it's definitely my main character. The second one though is his husband because his husband is like kind of just some guy. And I really, really like that it's like the difference of like writing about the husband and what the husband is doing because my main character, there's like a scene that I wrote where my main character is his front is that he's a travel agent. And so it's like he gets a phone call from his husband and he remembers that his husband always goes to the same sandwich shop every day because and like just general like his husband is just such a normal PI, normal guy that he's almost fun to write about because it's like when you write about all these fantastical thieves and these whatever, it's like his his journey in the book is so different and so normal, and I feel like a lot of authors leave out how fun it is just to write about normal people in the fantasy world and how they react to all of this fantastical things happening around them.
True.
Yeah.
Question 14. What's the dynamic like between your MC and villain? If it's not fantasy, then the main character towards your MC.
Um, it's hard because the villain is like that's a really hard one without giving a lot away because the villain people, but I will just say that they they have almost a jealousy dynamic, if that makes sense. I think that's all that I can really say without giving a lot of it away because there is a lot of mystery behind a lot of that. But yeah.
Nice.
Mhm.
Yeah, I get it. Trying not to spoil too much. That can be so hard. Like when you talk about your book, trying to entice people to read it, but then at the same time, it's like I can't say this because that's too spoilery.
Yeah, exactly. And I forget that people aren't in my head. And I'm like, oh, like it's the worst. I do it with TV shows too, because my husband and I are watching The Witcher. He's never seen it. And I'm like, oh yeah, don't worry, Yennefer doesn't look like this the whole time. And he was like, why would you tell me that? And I was like, oh yeah.
Yeah, my mom is the same way because she doesn't mind spoilers. Like she rather
Mhm.
know. And so sometimes she forgets that other people don't want spoilers, so she'll end up spoiling something to my sister, and it happens all the time.
I love that.
Like if I've seen something before her, I'll be like, I don't want to tell you because I don't. She'll be like, what's going on here? I was like, I don't want to tell you that spoiler. She's like, I don't care about spoilers. Just tell me. I'll still watch it.
I'm the exact same way. I'm like, I don't care, but I'm like, oh yeah, people do.
Question 15. Without being too spoilery, what was your favorite scene to write in your WIP so far?
Oh man, that's hard. Probably the heist scene has been like the most fun to write, but also the most like, oh my god, I don't want to write this. I want it to be done with. But also like I love writing this and this is so much fun, but like the planning and everything that went into like how do I make a heist accurate? How do I research a heist so it's real? So yeah, probably the heist scene has been the most fun and yet the hardest.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
I've never written in heist, and the only time I read it was in Six of Crows, and it seems
Mhm.
so confusing. And I'm like, what's even going on half the time?
Yeah, no, that's like the hard part about writing heists is like you have to like mislead your audience and then mislead your characters, but like tie it up with a bow at the end. And
Yeah,
like that's been the hardest part is the bow.
I bet. Question 16. If you're writing a series, do you like ending on cliffhangers? Do you plan to end on a cliffhanger in your current WIP?
I love a cliffhanger, and as much as my husband doesn't want me to end this book on a cliffhanger because I end everything on a cliffhanger, yeah, it's gonna be ended on a cliffhanger. Absolutely.
I feel that. I always end my books because I always write series. I only write
Mhm.
series. So I always end up ending them on a cliffhanger except for the final book in the series. Like I tie it up all in the bow at the end, but every book leading up to the final book usually tends to leave off on a cliffhanger of some sort.
No, I love cliffhangers. I write but I mainly write podcasts. And so I write the audio dramas, and it's like every single one of my scripts, it leaves off on a cliffhanger. And then there was one time where like I had to take an unexpected 9-month break from my script writing for the podcast, and I was like, oh no, maybe I should start tying things up a little more. But no, never.
Yeah, I get that. And like writing final book, it's like you have so it's like see, it can be hard because if you're writing a series that's more than 2 books, then the ones in the middle are usually the easiest. Because the story's already started, because that's the hardest thing in the first book, getting the story started. And then the hardest thing in the last book is to really end the story and make sure you close all of those plot holes if you do not plan on writing anything else, you know? Like,
Yeah.
I have a duology. That's the one with the gay characters that get married
Mhm.
in the end. And the first book leaves off at a cliffhanger, and then with book 2, I do have a sequel series planned, which will also be a duology and will be following one of the side characters. So I left her story open
Mhm.
to enter the duology, but everything else I had to close, and so yeah. So
Yeah,
like,
no.
if there's not going to be any more books, nothing, then yeah, the hardest part is to try to make sure every little thing that you had left open is closed.
Yeah, exactly.
Question 17. That's the question wrong. What's the scene you want to write in your WIP that you're excited for that you haven't gone to yet?
I'm so sorry. Can you repeat that one more time? You cut out completely for me.
Yeah. What's the scene you want to write in your WIP that you're excited for that you haven't gone to yet?
Oh man. Well, it's like sort of a spoilery scene, but I also feel like people know the direction that the book is probably going to go. So I'm gonna just say it. There is like a scene where Orion is going to find out that his husband has been the magpie who they've been looking for like forever. And that reveal is coming up very soon, and I'm like very excited to write that reveal because I like breaking the hearts of my characters and pulling them
Same.
apart. Yeah, so I'm really excited for that.
I bet. And I love a good reveal scene.
Yeah, they're so much fun to write. Like, I like making the stakes on them really high, so it just changes everything. So it feels like you're
Yeah.
writing a new book after.
Yeah,
Mhm.
definitely. Question 18. What's your favorite thing to write about? A certain type of scene, like fight scenes or romantic scenes, and so on.
I love a good fight scene. And yeah, they are so much fun. I have a lot of this is like really weird, but like I said, I got really into reading those like little pocket 25-cent books. And so I was like, I need to learn how to write romance. And so I was like Googling and made like a weird monster erotica under a pen name because I was like, listen, I don't know how to write like these tender romantic scenes. So I need to take it from a 0 to a 100. So I learned how to write this. So those exist out there. But like I'm still so much easier like fight scenes. I've like researched heists, so I enjoy them a little bit more now, but like fight scenes are kind of the OG best things.
I absolutely love writing and reading and watching fight scenes. They're just so fun. Um, and I always have such a fun time writing the fight scenes. Currently, what I'm writing is a bit different. It's still a fight scene, but it's like an actual war on a battlefield, so it's a little bit different. But I'm still having a good time with it.
Oh, yeah. I want to write a fantasy with like battles and stuff one day, and I might just have to message you and be like, please help.
Oh yeah,
But,
definitely.
like,
If you ever need any help or advice with writing fantasy, yeah, I've like fantasy is my favorite genre when it comes to TV, books, whatever. It's like, and it's the only thing I really write. So I'm definitely an expert on fantasy.
oh yeah.
Like if I ever want to write horror, I could come to you.
No, absolutely. It's some of my favorite stuff to write. Like I open doors. I love to turn people.
Question 19. What do you love most about your WIP and the series overall?
Oh man, I love his relationship with Orion. This is like I feel like in my last book that like the last two books that I've released, The Eternal Existence of Atticus Bright and Secrets of Maggie Valley Ranch, I made my main characters kind of unlikable, kind of like a little bit more gray, and their counterparts were the more like cooler, the fantastical, the like more successful. And in this book, it's the other way where my main character is the fantastical and the successful and the this. So, like, honestly, just writing this main character and like being in his headspace is so nice. And it's like probably my favorite part of the whole writing process with this book.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Question 20. What are you most excited for readers to read once it's published?
Oh man. I don't even know the whole thing. The book. um
Great
probably
answer.
yeah. I'm not even really sure. I just really hope that they enjoy the majority of the book. I really hope they enjoy that heist scene because I've been putting my back into that for like 3 weeks. But yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Your book does sound interesting. What like would you say the age range is on it?
I would probably say 18 plus. Maybe like there's not a lot of like mature, like explicit themes in it. If there's any like there's like maybe one or two sexual scenes and they fade to black after some like light kissing. So like if there is a more mature 17 to 16-year-old that wants to read about 30-year-old gays, you know, I read worse whenever I was that age. I grew up in the era of the killing stalking manga being a thing. So like, but so it's nothing like that. So that's what I would probably like 18 plus generally, but higher, you know, reading level 16 plus, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Cause I would like to check your book out at some point whenever I have money, cause I am broke. Is your book on Kindle Unlimited? Cause I literally just got KU today. I just
so it isn't yet. I'm waiting for my cover artist to get back to me, and like we're doing a little release for it. But I do have 2 books on Kindle Unlimited. I've got The Secrets of Maggie Valley Ranch, and I guess I'm a poet too. I forgot I've got 2 poetry books. And then my other book should be on there in a couple of months. I've in a really weird spot where it's like everything is being finished and published like right now. So, but no, in about it's gonna release in about a month or 2.
Okay, so it's not out yet.
No, not yet. No.
Okay, because I would like to check it out, but I am broke,
Me
so
too.
I won't be able to buy it yet. I do like to own physical copies because I'm more of a physical reader. I really only listen to audiobooks or read ebooks whenever I want to read the book, but I can't get a hold of the physical copy yet. Like that's when I read it, so I can read it like right now. But yeah, I would like to check out your book.
No, for
It does
sure.
sound really interesting. It's a little outside my comfort zone because like when it comes to reading, I almost only read fantasy,
Mhm.
but I do branch out every so often and enjoy what I read. So I your book does sound really interesting, and like the heist scene sounds really good, and their relationship dynamic sounds really good. And I would love to see, two gay characters married, and because we don't get enough of that. So yeah, I would definitely. I was just asking about the age range because I don't mind the whole, fade to black after like kissing. But
Mhm.
I'm not comfortable with like
Yeah.
full on sexual scenes. I know I mentioned I'm queer, but I'm an aro ace lesbian, and the asexual part of me isn't
Mhm.
exactly comfortable with all that. So
Understandable.
so I always ask because it's like if I want to read something, I want to make sure there's nothing to something that would make me uncomfortable. So
No, yeah, none of that is in there at all.
okay, awesome. Then I will definitely check out your book once I can, once it's out.
No, for sure, and thank you so much for having me on
Of
here. It's been so
course.
much fun.
I'm glad you could come. And
Yeah.
you're always welcome back if
Mhm.
like you're working on book 2 is about to come out and you want to talk more about it, you can just hit me up and I can schedule you back on here if you ever want. So,
Oh, awesome. Thank you so much.
of course. It's been nice talking to you. And I'm pretty sure I put your I forgot to mention this earlier, but I put your Amazon author page in the description of this video, so anyone who's watching and wants to buy follow you and put your books on your their TBR for once your book comes out or any of your other books that's already out, they can just click the link and be sent right to your page and buy your books easily.
Oh, awesome. Well, thank you so much again.
So thank you everybody for joining. You can, if you want to be notified whenever I do these author interviews, which I do them every Saturday, usually at 6 p.m., but sometimes the time changes depending on time zones for other people. Then subscribe and you can be alerted to whenever I do these author interviews and every other video I post. So thank you for watching. And definitely check out Arthur's books. Definitely sounds very interesting, and I know I'll be checking out his series once it comes out. So thank you for watching. Until next time.
Mhm.